Hey guys, welcome back to the Rebel Show. I'm going to be honest with you, I've been filming all day and my brain is a little mushy. So today we're going to keep it cash, okay? We're just going to have a nice little conversation. So for those of you who are new here, I'm Bree Mesquit and I am a waxer. I teach on this show mindset, business growth, and of course waxing as well. Every Monday, you're going to have a new podcast episode, and every Thursday, we launch a new training video for you guys. So just in case you weren't aware of that, make sure you're checking out those Thursday videos as well.
What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time. Take back the power. What's your plan?
So today we're going to do something that is a first for me. I'm actually going to do a Q&A. So these are questions that I asked people to send in ahead of time, and I'm going to go through them. So I've kind of tried to categorize them between like those who are new, maybe students or newly graduated, those trying to scale their business, and then there's some just random like kind of more mindset and personal growth questions as well. So I'm going to start going through these and do my best to answer to the best of my ability. All right, first question. How do I find my first clients after graduating school? Okay, this is a great question. So actually, you want to start marketing yourself, and I know this is going to sound really weird, but you want to start marketing yourself while you're in school. So people very much buy from people, and it's all about building a relationship, and people buy into your journey and your personal story. And that starts upon enrollment, actually before then as well. But now that you are in the mindset and the space of wanting to build a clientele, you really want to start marketing yourself. And don't worry if you haven't started this yet and you've already graduated, you're not too late. Like the time is like now, start now. But you really want to bring people along for your journey. So the best way is really going to be via social media. And I know you guys are probably sick and tired of hearing that answer, but truly it's a free marketing platform, and they're like television and radio and all that. It's like, it's out. This is your way to get in front of, literally you have the opportunity to get in front of millions of people. But when your focus is really building a clientele, you can target your local ideal clients through social media. So I would first start by go listen to one of my other episodes where I talk about optimizing your social media, because one of the things is you're going to have to figure out what platform you want to start on, but that's really going to be how you're doing it. So what do we do? And I don't want to go too far into this because I've done a full podcast episode on how to utilize social media, but you really want to make sure you're leading with adding value. So what questions, what concerns do your future clients have? You want to speak to their pain points and then provide a solution for them. But really, you want to share your journey, share who you are, and build that like, no trust factor on social media. Then beyond social media, you can also make sure you are like listed on Google, Google Business, Apple Maps is big, having a website, having great SEO. And this is one of those things, if you don't know how to do that personally, then you may want to consider hiring someone to build just a pretty basic website, but making sure all your SEO is like on point. That's how you're going to get in front of people who are Googling maybe waxers near me or whatever. You want to make sure you show up on Google. All right, so that's the first thing. Second question. What should I include in my service menu when just starting out? Okay, so this is one thing that I feel like it's counterintuitive. You really want to niche down and focus on where you're really passionate about, like whatever services you're passionate about, you find enjoyment in, and you've just like gotten pretty good at. You don't want to try to force yourself to have this huge service menu. And I know when we're first starting out, it's like, well, we want to be available for everyone because we like really are desperate for a client. So if I add more services, and that gives me the opportunity to get more people in, but it actually can do the opposite. So I really highly recommend just starting with one service. So whether it's waxing, facials, eyelash extensions, tanning, whatever it is that you already are kind of drawn to, go all in on that thing and master it. Then from there, if you want to add another service or two, that's totally fine. So personally, what I did, I went all in on waxing, and then I started adding eyelash extensions, and then from there I had spray tanning, but I mastered one at a time instead of trying to do all of them at once. And then I became really well known in my area, as being an expert in all three of those services. And now, fast forward, I'm actually just cutting out all services except for waxing. I'm actually opening up my own waxing studio, which I'm really excited about. I won't necessarily be in the treatment room, but I'm going to be hiring on waxers, and that's what we're solely going to be focusing on. So don't try to go super wide and have like this huge service menu. Just right now, just focus on whatever it is that you naturally love and feel like you're good at, and just go all in on that. Now, also one thing to keep in mind, you're not married to this service for the rest of your life. I started off at the beginning of my career before going solo, doing facials, and I thought that's what I was going to want to do forever. That's why I actually got into the industry to begin with, was to provide facials. And then I quickly realized, wait, I really like waxing. So it's okay to pivot and change down the line. But right now I just want you to have like singularity of focus. It's going to be the best use of your time for sure, and serve you best when it comes to building out a clientele. But just know things can change in the future, and that's okay. That's why I personally love this industry. There's so many different directions that you can go. How do I set my prices as a new waxer without undercharging? Good question. So super brief, but I did do a full podcast episode on this, on how to price your services. But just quickly, a little overview. You don't want to be the highest. You don't want to be the lowest. You want to kind of be somewhere in the middle. So just do a little market research and see what people around you are charging. If you're too low, you're telling people that you give a low quality service. If you're too high, then you better be the best in your local area. So, and be providing a really great service, or else you're going to damage your reputation. So you want to be somewhere in the middle, and then you can always provide promos and discounts at first while you're getting started, but you want your clients to see that like regular pricing, instead of you later on feeling like, or them feeling like you're raising your prices. It's like you have your set price, you're offering a promo discount for now, and then you're just going back to your regular price, rather than offering the promo discount with them not ever seeing that regular pricing, and then you raise it and they're like, oh, she raised her prices, she's too expensive now. Hey guys, quick interruption to the show to bring you a offer you won't be able to resist. If you have not yet tried Rebel Wax, then go ahead and visit our site, lashandwaxoc.com, and use code TRYREBEL, all one word, code TRYREBEL, to claim 2 free sample size bags. Number 4, what's the best way to build confidence in my technique? Practice, practice, practice. It's repetition, repetition. So how I gained confidence, honestly, was just being like thrown in at European Wax Center. So I was at the Newport Beach location, and it was a really, really, really high volume center. So I had no choice really but to just get good and master my technique, because I had such a high volume of clients on a daily basis. So it's just one of those things. There's no shortcuts to it. Like, get great training, check out my free 6-week course if you haven't already, and then just put in the practice. Friends and family, just practice, practice, practice. This is something that just takes consistency over time. There's really not going to be any shortcuts to it. Should I start working at a franchise like a European Wax Center or something, or go solo right away? Okay, I don't highly recommend going solo right away. Why? Because you do not want to be focusing on mastering the service and the technique at the same time as learning how to become a business owner. They both take your full attention. So first, you want to master your technique before you go solo. Also, because when you go solo, now the reputation is solely on you, rather than kind of being able to be passed off to the company that you're working for as well. So it's really important. It's really hard to come back from a bad reputation. It's just like human nature. People will go and leave negative reviews quicker than they'll leave positives. And that can really, really hurt a small business and a solo practice. So highly recommend just mastering your technique first before going solo. Now, there's always those gems and those people that can make it work, but that's usually the exception to the rule. So you really need to be honest with yourself and just take a look and say, okay, what's the best strategy here? Because we really want to look at long-term success and career growth. So just be willing to put in that time. I worked for European Wax Center for 4 years before going solo. And before that, I was working at a day spa. So let me do the math. Been in the industry 13 years, solo for 7. So I worked for someone else for 5 years before I decided to go solo. And I do not regret that at all. I think it really helped set me up for success. What are some must-have tools or products for beginners? Well, that's really going to depend on what service it is that you are performing. So if you're waxing, then Rebel Wax for sure. But I'm going to be doing a podcast episode next, actually, after this, giving you guys an update on my Rebel Wax Studios. I'm going to be sharing with you all the back bar products that I'm going to be using, all the retail that I'm going to be providing for our clients. So I'll kind of go over that. So that will be a great episode to listen to if you are, in fact, interested in waxing. Now, if you guys are interested in providing facials, I highly recommend that you follow Savannah Boda. She has a podcast, The Blondest, but she is like an expert when it comes to skincare and like ingredient knowledge and all of it. I've learned so much from her. So I would highly recommend checking her out if you are interested in facials. And for lash extensions, I want to make sure I give you guys a resource for that too. I really love Live Bay. They're fantastic. Their products are great. And the Shauna and her husband Mike are absolutely incredible. So I highly recommend them. I believe they have their own podcast as well. And then I learned a lot from Frankie Widows. So when I was doing eyelash extensions, I watched a lot of her videos. So she can give you some tips on like what tools are needed and stuff too. All right. How do I find a treatment room or suite to rent for the first time? Okay, so you have a couple different options. You can go to like, what are those places? Like Sola Salon Suites, like any of those places. I'm sure Phoenix Salon Suites, they're different, like all over the place. But I know you guys probably have heard of some. So you can choose to go that route. Or what you can do is find an office space and convert it into like your own treatment room. But this is the biggest thing. Wherever that office is located, you're going to want to go down to the city. So like City Hall, and then go to the planning department, give them the address of the location, and then let them know your plan for usage. So just let them know, I'm a licensed esthetician and I want to provide XYZ services. Is this location zoned for that? This is something I almost learned the hard way. No one let me know about this. I didn't even know to ask this question or even consider this. So I almost signed a 3-year lease on a commercial space that was not zoned for beauty services, and I would have been stuck in a lease in Costa Mesa, California for 3 years on a space that I wouldn't have even been able to use. So that's the biggest thing if you're going to go the route of looking for an office space. I feel like this is a potential like little hack. I found a really awesome office space that was like its own storefront on PCH in Newport Beach. And that was my first like storefront salon space of my own. And it was a really, really great price and it served me really, really well. So, or you can go the route that I first took when I went solo, where I rented a treatment room within a hair salon. So you can look at that option as well. That might also be nice when you're first going solo because that's potential cross referrals as well. So that's a great option as well. The biggest thing if you're providing waxing services though, make sure you have control of the thermostat within your own treatment room because it's a big one. You need to be able to control and be able to put the AC on when needed. That's huge. That can be a really big obstacle in the future if you rent a room that you don't have a control over that. What's the most important thing to include in my client waivers? Okay, so this is something where I recommend, so you guys have probably heard me talk about Associated Skincare Professionals. I highly recommend them. And the best thing is they provide your waivers and your consultation forms and all of that stuff for you. So there's no guessing. So it's with waxing, it's really important to know like what medications they're on, what skincare they're using, anything that could be like a blood thinner or thin their skin that could like acne medications and stuff to where they're going to have more potential for lifting or being burnt. Those are contraindications to waxing. So you want to make sure you ask those things, but don't like play guesswork on this. Just sign up for Associated Skincare Professionals. They have monthly payment plans now. So it's like $23 a month. It's your liability insurance. You can add on property insurance as well. So I would just go that route. And then you don't even have to worry about it. All right. How can I market myself? I don't have a lot of money to spend. Social media. I know you guys are going to get sick and tired of this answer, but it's free, you guys. It's a free platform. Everyone's attention is on it. So really use social media. Start with one platform. So either Instagram, TikTok, you could do YouTube Shorts, you could do LinkedIn, you could do Pinterest, but really I would look between TikTok and Instagram. So when you're first starting, just pick one of those two. Ask yourself where your ideal client spends their time online. So if you have more of usually 30 and under, probably I would go more towards TikTok, and maybe 30 pluses, maybe you're on Instagram, and maybe you even consider Facebook. So just pick one platform and post consistently, making sure you're adding value and solving a problem and a pain point of your client. How do you handle nervous or first-time clients? So first of all, and I did a podcast on this is where it's really important for you guys to experience the service yourself. So if you're providing Brazilians, then you need to go and get a Brazilian yourself, unless there's some medical reason why you absolutely cannot, but it shouldn't be because you're scared. Because then how are you going to ask your client to work through being scared and trust you to still provide the service? So you need to be a product of your product, and you need to experience it. So you better know how to walk them through it. So personally, I just make sure that I own my room and I exude confidence first and foremost, which comes naturally after doing as many Brazilians as I've done at this point. But at first it's a little bit of that fake it till you make it in the confidence realm, at least. I don't really love that saying when it comes to I don't know, certain things, but you do want to just make sure you exude confidence. Then explain the process the whole way through for them as well. That's going to be really important, so that they just know what to expect. So for example, when I'm doing my cleanup strips, I'll say, this one's going to feel really warm before I ever even apply that second strip. And then once it feels warm, oh, well, she told me that it was going to feel warm. So okay, she's done this before. She knows what she's doing. I just walk them through step by step, and that really helps. And they just kind of have to get through that first one. The first one's always going to be the hardest. How do I increase my prices without losing clients? So, okay, first of all, you're going to lose clients. So we got to just get past that. But it's opening the door for new potential clients that are okay with your new pricing. And also, a lot of times those clients end up coming back because they'll go somewhere else that's a little bit cheaper, but they also experience a cheaper service. And they're like, I don't like this experience as much as I liked my experience with Brie. So I'm just going to go back to Brie and pay the $5 extra. But okay, kind of a strategy. So I actually had to recently do a price increase for Rebel Wax, and it was really scary and really hard, but our margins, the cost of everything, you guys know, the cost of everything has drastically gone up, and we ate that for probably about a year and a half before we were okay, we really have to raise our prices because we're just not able to provide the level of service that we would like by being able to hire on extra team members that are now needed due to the volume we're doing, being able to increase our inventory so we're not dealing with being sold out but not being able to afford the next all the behind the scenes thing. So I've had to go through this recently, and it is hard. I do sympathize. It is really hard. But it's also normal and a natural progression of your business. So, okay. So when it comes to services, so with product-based, you want to give at least 2 weeks notice. Minimum, you need to give 2 weeks notice, and you want to give a way to buy in at the current price. So that's exactly what we did for Rebel Wax. Now, when it comes to services, you want to give at least 4 weeks, even up to 6 weeks, depending on what services it is that you provide. Because you have to think, waxing, people come in and get waxed every 4 to 6 weeks, right? So a month notice is going to be really important. You want to post it on your social media. You want to send out emails. You guys should be utilizing email. So whatever booking system you are using, if you're not already, I highly recommend Gloss Genius. It will collect all your clients' emails, and then you're able to send out email or even text blast to your clients. So you would communicate that way. You would also want to tell them at the time of their appointment too, when they come in, you're going to go ahead and share the price increase and when it's going to be in effect and the amount that's going to be going up. So it's safe to do a 10 to 20% is going to be a little bit on the higher end, but 10 to 20% increase is pretty fair and normal. So I wouldn't go anything really, personally, I wouldn't really go above a 20% increase. So communication, giving them a heads up, and then a way to buy in. So you might want to have some packages available to them. So say if you want to secure your next few appointments at this current pricing, I'm doing a package of buy 3, get 1 free, or buy 2, get 1 free. So you always want to give them that way to buy in at your current pricing. And then again, like I said, you want to just know that you are most likely going to lose a few clients, and that's okay. I promise you, new clients will come in as long as you're utilizing all the marketing strategies. And then also asking your current clients for referrals. Go back and listen to my podcast episode that I talked about the 10 different ways to build a clientele. You're going to want to put those into practice if you do, lose a handful of clients, which is to be expected. How can I make my business stand out from other waxers in my area? It's all about showing up authentically and being yourself. People buy into people, like I've said a million times. So you'll find your people that relate with you, that really like you, that you're building that like, no, trust factor. So just be yourself. Provide an excellent experience, first of all. So from booking to the actual service itself to your follow-up, just making sure you're providing a great overall experience, and then showing up both in person and online super authentic. Why is this word so hard for me? Authentically. Be authentic. Like me right now, who cannot use words correctly, but show up authentically. Be yourself, show your personality, and your people will find you. You have to remember, we aren't for everybody. So like the waxer down the road might have her certain clients that are attracted to her, while you have yours, and like there's enough to go around. We don't need to be in competition. Just show up, do your best every single day, and serve your customers well. If you lead with value to them first before what's in it for me, you can't fail. Should I add retail products to my services, and how do I choose the right ones? Absolutely. I think at minimum, and I did a whole other podcast episode on this. We've gotten quite a few podcast episodes under our belt now at this point. I think we're in the high 20s with this one. We might even be close to 30. Getting there. Anyways. Okay, so at minimum, actually, I have some stuff right here because I'm going to be doing an episode on this next. So at minimum, scrub gloves. Of course, we'll have pink in Rebel Wax Studios, but you want some scrub gloves, so a form of exfoliation. Now, next you'll want to have an ingrown hair serum. So you can either have both of these or one. These are from Just the Strip. It's called Smooth Operator, and they're actually pads. These to me are like my favorite because they're little mini, like I call them ingrown magic erasers. So they come in these little pads. Wow, that smells really good. What is this one? Citrus. I think it's the Dreamsticle. Okay, that smells really good. But you'll want to have some sort of ingrown hair serum. So whether it's the pads, or you can this is also by Just the Strip, their Smooth Operator. So I'll open it, I guess. It's a roll-on ingrown hair serum, which I've always had available. Oh, you can see it's a little roller bottle. I also really like Relax and Wax's Get the Bump Out of Here, which is also a roll-on. So you'll want to have that. So either both or one or the other. This is usually a little bit of a lower price point, the roll-on. So you want to have that. And then it's optional, but a body wash would be smart too. So I ordered from Just the Strip their body wash. It just hasn't come in yet, or I would show you guys, but that's something I'm going to be having, and I think would be really great. It's optional, or at least have a few referrals for your clients. And then lastly, what else do you need? Honestly, those two things will get you started. And then there's a lot of other stuff you can add on as well, but we'll keep it at that just for like getting started with the basics. All right, a finance question. And actually, a lot of you guys sent in a lot of finance questions. And I have to be honest, this is not like my zone of genius or my expertise. So this is an area where I ask myself, okay, who, not how, because I've tried to do my finances at the beginning myself, and I definitely paid the ignorance tax. That is for sure. So I highly recommend this being one of your first hires, either a bookkeeper or a CPA, and who I use is Adriana, Budget Bee Financial. She is fantastic for just getting started out and having a solo waxing business. business. So I would reach out to her, and this is an area where I would budget being able to hire out for that, because you can end up wasting and spending so much more money in that ignorance tax than just hiring out for this service. So that's one thing. I will redirect you to her for any like in-depth financial questions, because I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. All right, let's get into some personal growth questions. So how do you handle self-doubt or fear of failure? Honestly, I don't give myself enough time to think about it, and I just act in despite of. So I won't sit there and like stew on it too long. And oftentimes, and I don't know if this is like the right way to do it or not, but like, for example, we went to Miami here recently, and I was one of their speakers at a convention. And I was really, really nervous. But leading up to it, like I kind of pushed it in the back of my mind and just didn't think about it. And then I just forced myself to go through the motions of packing and getting there and like showing up. And then I just like did it. So I am big on like just do it scared. So I guess like how to handle that is just like to do it anyways, really, and just act in despite of. And I always ask myself, like, if this isn't going to equate to death, like, we're going to be fine. Also, though, and I talked about this, we did a little like travel rebel road show. I don't know what we actually ended up calling that. But anyways, we did a podcast like in Miami, a few of them. And I was talking about how I really, truly understand why my business coach challenged us to running a marathon, because it does this. It's called raising your thermostat. So we raised our thermostat. And after doing that marathon, like, big things like that normally would be like kind of paralyzing and be so scary to me, it like doesn't seem as big of a deal. And like literally, if you're not going to die, like what's going to happen? Yeah, you might be embarrassed, but like that's okay. Like it's okay. Like we're humans. And if anything, it builds a further connection with people because it humanizes you, right? Or if people like give you a hard time about it, then like screw them. Like who cares? So I would just say act in despite of that self-doubt, act in despite of that fear. And you only fail if you give up. So there's no failure. It's failing forward. Each failure I've ever had has now, when I look back, you might not be able to recognize it in that moment, but when I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, this now played this role in my current day or my current situation. So it's really cool to be able to look back on that. So truly, there's no such thing as like true failure unless you allow circumstances and situations to make you quit. So I'm big on like, just fail and you'll learn something from it and then readjust and keep on trucking. What's the biggest mistake you've made in your career and what did you learn from it? Ooh, biggest mistake. Honestly, I would say more currently, because a lot of the things that I did at the beginning like served a purpose and was a great lesson that now like I've been able to use and flip into a positive and then like teach you guys, like give you guys like, hey, don't do this, or like kind of like a cautionary tale. But I wouldn't label a lot of them like mistakes per se. Honestly, a big mistake was being way too trusting of a lot of people at first. So I'm a little bit more guarded. I have to balance that out though, because we don't want to push away good people too. But I gave way too much at the beginning of my career, especially when I went solo and I was in the trenches and doing a lot of trial and error and like was able to build a 6-figure clientele within a year. And then I'd have other girls that saw that and come in and be like, oh, can you teach me? And I would just like do things for free. And I was super trusting and like thought everyone was like honest and had good character because I hold myself to that standard. And then I was like used a lot. And then I would be so shocked when they ended up being not who I thought they were. So I would say, but I don't know if I really regret any of that either, because I don't know. I'm going to have to think further on that one. But this goes back to like what I was talking about. Like there is no failure if you learn a lesson from it. So yeah, I can't think of like a really, really big mistake that I've made. I think everything has served its purpose, but also that's my personality, like to take a step back and be like, okay, like I usually give myself 24 hours to sulk and like be sad and eat chocolate and cry and watch sappy movies or something. And then I'm like, all right, time to pull my big girl panties up and like, what lesson was learned? What do I need to do going forward? So yeah, I didn't think further on that one. What's one thing every waxer should invest in early on? Ooh, honestly, you guys, and I know because I'm providing it now. So even if it's not me coaching and I meant the right coach and the right mentor, there are so like, I am big in trial and error. I think there's a lot of great lessons that can be learned. I think there's a lot of things like mistakes, that goes back to that question really, but mistakes that actually serve a greater purpose and are kind of necessary to make. Like think about our kids. Like there's certain things that you just kind of let them experience the natural consequence because there's a bigger lesson in that than you telling them and like helping them avoid things. And then it just doesn't resonate as much because they didn't suffer like the natural consequence of it. So I feel like there definitely are things that are worthwhile going through kind of like the muck of. But there's also a lot of things that we can avoid through having the right coach or mentor who has been there, done that, and can strategize with you to come up with a plan of action to where you're actually, even though the investment in a coach and mentor is a lot, like I've recently invested, actually I'm on year 2 with my coach and it was a huge investment, extremely scary, but the best thing I've done. And we've had massive growth because of it. So I wish that I even had something like that available to me. Maybe it was, and I just didn't know about it. But when I started my own business 7-8 years ago, I wish I would have invested in a coach or mentor that could have helped me get set up on the right foot and like have the right strategy, especially with like the back end stuff, operations, finances, having a sales and marketing strategy. So that's one thing for sure. There's also different tiers to this. So you can get like a one-on-one coach or there's a lot of like group trainings now available too. You just want to look at who it is that is providing this and like what have they done. So it's really important when you're looking for a coach or mentor or maybe some sort of group training that you ask yourself, has this person done the thing that I'm wanting to do? That does it line up with the goals that I'm trying to achieve? Have they been there, done that, instead of someone who's just talking theory? So that's the one thing I want you guys to look at and ask yourself, but I would really highly recommend investing in that. And then when it comes to like I mentioned earlier, like a tax professional, a CPA, a bookkeeper, if that's not your zone of genius, then I would really hire that out because you're going to save so much more money by not making all those financial mistakes. So those would be 2 of my early investments. And then another one that I did personally was a social media manager. So once I got to a point where I could fit that in the budget, it really helped expand my clientele and then eventually my product-based business as well. So that was a really great investment for me, for my business. All right. Do one more. How do you stay motivated when business feels slow? Okay. If you guys have been listening to me for any amount of time, I hate the word motivation because it is a feeling and feelings come and go. What I want you guys to be focusing on is discipline. So I like to plan ahead for those times. Being a business owner, there's always a running list of to-dos. So in those slow seasons, that's the time to massively attack what my coach calls his GSD, get shit done list. So I'm constantly adding to my get shit done list. Wait, did I say that right? Get shit done. GSD. Yes, I did say that right. I'm constantly adding to that list. And then when I have a lull, then I don't have to be guessing what to do. It's like, okay, new business cards, price sheets, new marketing material, film some content to be helping to boost, bringing in new clients, planning out some promotions. Like I actually did a podcast on this, on slow seasons and what to do to best optimize. But it's not about staying motivated. It's about having discipline and then also tracking and knowing. You'll see a pattern of when slow seasons come, so you can better prepare for that and then just know exactly what you're going to be doing in those times, because it's inevitable. In this industry, we are going to have slow seasons, and guess what though, we're going to have busy seasons as well, and then you'll be like, oh my god, I'm so tired and too busy and I missed that slow season. So all right guys, this was fun. Let me know if you liked this Q&A style. Also, something else we're going to be looking at doing is lives here on YouTube. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, we're going to be going live. We can do Q&As. I'll do even some wax demos, but we'll test out a few different things. But I always want to hear feedback from you guys. Share this if it was valuable. Don't if it totally sucked. Let me know what you guys need help on. I want to make sure that I am serving you guys and serving you guys well. Thank you for being here. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. I believe it's like 96% of you are not subscribed that tune in every single week. So it'd really help me out, and I'd appreciate if you would subscribe. And I will see you guys back next week.